balloon comb. You're looking for good apps for a few drills and sessions so that kids aren't standing around. Okay, so this is the Tom Turnball skills and drill session, and there's a little bit of learning that you kind of have to invest in, but once you get it, it's really not that hard at all, and you can do this you could run this training session the same way every single time, and kids are going to have a lot of fun, and you're going to see significant improvement in their play, because these are some of the essentials, right? These are the fundamentals in a fun way. This guy Tom Turnball, he was my skills and drills coach 27 years ago, and I brought this with me, for my whole life, and I will for the rest of my life. So here's the basic gist of it, and you can play around with the timing. The timing isn't more important, more just that you understand, there's a nice flow of this. So let's go through it. Warm up. You can Google the warm up of any professional team. Let's say, your local club that you guys support, wherever you're from in the UK, or there's a great warm up. It's called locomotion conditioning routine by Ido Portal, and it's something that's gonna get the kids laughing. But this is some serious movement stuff that will get these kids moving in very, very many different ranges of motion in a very short period of time. And for that reason, I really like it as a warm up for players, not just for soccer, but for all sports. So those are two options for warm up. In terms of ball mastery, right? So this is the part that, if you have no background in regards to developing or just to ball mastery, you have two options. One is, here, I should write that down. One is Cover coaching. This is a staple. This is a guy who's been doing this for years. Cover coaching app, right? So these are some ball mastery drills that you can learn. I think it's a couple are free, and then there might be like two or $3, and this is going to help you directly improve this category, because if you can't demonstrate any ball mastery moves, then it's kind of hard to kind of tell young U8s what to do without being able to demonstrate, right? And kids are geniuses, so the monkey see, monkey do principle really applies. Someone else that you can check out ball mastery moves, but it kind of goes more into dribbling sequences. His name is on Instagram. It's Fanta Sista Mickey. This kid, he chains together different ball mastery moves and combinations. So when you check him out, it's going to look almost a little bit intimidating. But if you isolate each move and you kind of break down step by step what the moves looks like, then they're quite basic. But he just chains them together so elegantly. This is on Instagram. That it's really someone to be modeled after. Instagram, right? Fanta Sista Mickey. Can you see that? Fanta Sista Mickey on Instagram, right? So just chop up, find one pattern that you like, find the simplest pattern, learn that, so then you can demonstrate the ball mastery, and then so this thing's then ball mastery will lead right into dribbling sequences, right? So you teach the kids the first time you run this through, you say, okay, this is the chop, or this is just touch the top of the ball, like this is a toe touch, or this is a cut, or this is a drag, and that's what you're gonna learn from here or from here. And then so dribbling sequence is just the next step of a ball mastery move, because you could, right? So Fanta Sista Mickey will directly show you how to create a dribbling sequence, and the reason why dribbling sequences are so powerful is because it's a rhythmic pattern. It allows players to not think about dribbling so much, especially since they haven't, in theory, U8 hasn't really developed their dribbling abilities significantly. I mean, maybe some have if they're advanced, but most probably won't, right? Even though, right, UK got a high level of sport at a young age, and it's like their international sport for the most part. I mean, maybe it could be cricket, but right. So dribbling sequences, it's a rhythmic pattern. So for example, Tom Turnball, he would do this. So for example, Tom Turnball would do this sequence with us growing up. I call this the Tom Turnball sequence, right? Because he taught it to us. You go outside, outside, inside, outside, inside, outside, outside, inside, outside, inside, outside, outside, inside, outside, inside. And you're saying it out loud because as you say it out loud, it encourages, right? There's a mind-body connection that's being developed, so it helps players internalize the dribbling sequence, and you go right. A lot of players I try to teach this to, they go too fast, right? So you really want to be smooth breathing, right? Rhythmic. Outside, outside, inside, outside, inside, outside, outside, inside, outside, inside. Make sure you demonstrate, right, the arm movements, right? The arms are super important in terms of how players move. So you really want to show them the right way so that they can emulate the right way, right? Outside, outside, inside, outside, inside, outside, outside, inside, outside, inside. Okay, so that's Tom Turnball sequence. And so then if you did that, if you drilled that sequence, if you did that sequence every single time, I'm telling you, so how does that look like in theory? So for example, when I taught U8s, or they might have been U9s, I would have them warm up, right? So let's say this is your half of a pitch, and then now they warmed up. So then you say, okay, do the Tom Turnball sequence, and tell them, do the Tom Turnball sequence, and do that. Or let's say you get a half. Let's say your pitch is a half pitch, half of a pitch. So you tell them, go around this way. And then next practice, so maybe two times around the pitch they do. And then next practice, you tell them go this way, 2 times around the pitch this way. And if you have a whole pitch, access to a whole pitch, maybe they do a whole pitch once, right? And then tell them to take their time with it. Tell them it's not a race. And kids will still race even if you tell them not to race. So just tell them take their time. Tell them get a lot of touches. Have them all say it in unison out loud. Outside, outside, inside, outside, inside. Okay, that's ball dribbling sequences. Barrel game is, man, I love this game. You take a bucket, or you take a garbage can, a garbage bin, and you put it. Ideally, if you have access to this area of the field, this is nice because you have this circle, and the circle acts as a natural line for the players to stand around. So basically what it looks like, let me show you. What it looks like is that all these kids are juggling, they're racing they're racing on their own time to try and get the ball in the barrel in the center of the pitch. So they're all standing around the outside, and you tell them to start with the balls in their hands, because it's a lot harder if you're going to play this game if you have the balls at their feet, because their skills aren't that developed, right? So you tell them right foot with the bounce first, right? So it looks like this. So go bounce, kick, right? Bounce, kick in, and then you do that with the left foot. Bounce, kick in, and then right? You gotta try to demo this. Bounce, kick in, right? Well, let's do it since I'm demonstrating. Bounce, kick in, and then ball in the hand. Then the next progression is, so it's right thigh. There you go. Right thigh bounce, right thigh in, and then you go left thigh bounce, left thigh in, and then if you have a grass field. This might be hard if you have a grass field with the bounce, right? If you have a turf field, then it's much easier. But if you got a grass field, maybe you don't encourage the bounce. It just depends on the firmness of your field is the whole point, because, they say make skills easy, make strength hard. You want this game to be accomplishable, but a little bit challenging, but accomplishable, so that they can, you want the goals to be proximate, because if it's too high of a mountain, it's, they're gonna get deterred, and then they're not gonna want to come back and play. So you gotta make it fun, you gotta make it challenging, but you gotta make it challenging and fun, right? So it's right foot first, then left foot, then both feet alternating, then right thigh, left thigh, both thighs alternating, right? And then you finish with any part of the body you want, combination of feet and thighs. So that's the barrel game, and you want kids to go at their own speed, right? Because you don't want, like, Ricky to slow up Mark if, like, Tommy's better than Timmy. you don't want to use a whistle. You kind of want them all standing around the circle, and it's going to be a free-for-all, right? They're going to be bumping into each other. It's going to be chaos. Some kids will start crying because they're getting frustrated because Ricky's bumping into Johnny's ball and stuff like that. So you just tell them, just say, keep going, and they keep going, and then eventually some will get it, and some might not get it with the amount of time, but you just encourage them. And then 1v1 to cones, right? So you have this natural border. You have this natural border of the sideline, and then so you could line up cones on this natural the line that continues from the 18 edge of the 18, right? So you have this natural grid that gets set up. So ideally, you want 1v1 to cones. You want the cones. These are cones. Each dot represents a cone, and maybe you space them out a little further, whatever. But the cones should be the tall ones, right? So that they can knock them over. So so there's a player that defends this cone, and then there's cones that are on this matching, right? So it's 1v1. So players play for like how much time we have? 10 minutes for 1v1. So players play one opponent for 5 minutes, and then you tell them switch their opponent. Then they try and then they just try and knock each other's cones over, and then that's your session. I'm telling you, if you run that session every single time, they're going to see a significant improvement in the quality of their play, and the parents are really going to love this. And the whole point isn't to please the parents, but since that they're going to see this pattern of your sessions, and if you do the same thing every time, they're going to have a great time, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So hopefully this helps. Reach out with any questions. All right, thank you.